and the USBC directory, the largest Black business directory in the world. Repeat after me. Say the largest Black business directory in the world. So we're excited today to have our show. It is Tuesday, so we know this is Turkey Week. So we decided to go ahead and have the show on today. So our guest today will be Mr. Craig Akar, and also his sidekick will be joining us, Miss Lourdes, and she will be introducing her here shortly. So most of the show we will be viewing Mr. Craig Akar, and his company is MC Harry architecture firm down in South Florida. So if you're watching, go ahead and start sharing the broadcast. Listen, do me a favor and go ahead and start some watch parties. Do some watch parties. And, a lot of you are already off. You're getting ready to start cooking or getting ready to start traveling. So you're not working tomorrow. So start some watch parties. Say, hey, we got some Black people on there talking about Black businesses and some great Black-owned businesses. So again, every week we bring great Black-owned businesses that have great products and services. And this is a great company down in South Florida that has a great product and a great service, I should say, rather, in the architectural space. So it's one of the members of the United States Black Chambers. So we are excited to have him on. How are you today, Mr. Craig Akar?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. It is great to be on with you guys. Thank you for having MC Harry. We certainly appreciate you featuring the firm here on the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce.
No, this is great. Listen, we are always looking for opportunities for our businesses. And, we have so many great Black-owned businesses within the chamber. So I love doing this show because I love to be able to bring them to our audience and bring them to our members and make them aware of who our businesses are, what they're doing, and the great things that they're doing around the country, because there are so many businesses out there that many people have never heard about. And so this is a great platform to be able to highlight them and expose them so that they can get business. The key for the show is to help other companies locate you to be able to do business with you. So take a few seconds now. Your vice president will be joining us here in short.
Lourdes is my partner. She's wrapping up a conference call right now. She'll be right with us.
No problem. She's secured a multi-million-dollar deal. It's got to be something like that, right?
She is, actually. Yes.
All right. So, Craig, go ahead and take a second. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and tell a little bit about your organization there.
Yeah, so my name is Craig Akar, and I'm one of the managing partners here at MC Harry and Associates. We're an architectural firm that provide exceptional service to our clients in terms of architectural services. We do public sector buildings mainly, but also commercial facilities as well. We are 62 years old. Lourdes and myself are third generation owners of this firm here in South Florida. We do schools, K through 12, higher education facilities, municipal buildings, parks. We do commercial buildings, office buildings, warehouses, fire station, police stations, etc. So we have a wide range of services that we offer clients here in South Florida.
Okay, excellent. No, that sounds really, really good. So you say you're third generation business. So tell us about the inception.
The firm was founded by Milton Carlisle Harry, hence the name MC Harry. It was founded back in 1957 out of his garage. And from a very small firm, it grew to where it is today. Over the 60 years, we've completed over $500 billion in construction value here in South Florida. One of our biggest clients is the Miami International Airport. And here's Lourdes. Come on in, Lourdes, join us.
Hello, I'm so sorry.
All right. So I was saying that over the 62 years, we have completed almost $500 billion in construction value of projects. And we do a lot of work for the Miami International Airport, a lot of the municipalities around here in South Florida, all of the higher education, well-known universities like FIU, Miami-Dade College, the University of Miami, FAU, and over on the west coast of Florida, the Florida Gulf Coast University. Lourdes here, I'd like to introduce you. Lourdes Solera. She is my partner, and we are third generation owners of MC Harry. I was explaining that to Brian just now, that Milton Carlisle Harry is a founder of the firm, hence the name MC Harry. And then, you know, Tom Carlson and Jim Pearsall were the second generation owners, if you may. And then recently, about 7 years ago or so, Lourdes came aboard, and about 5 years ago, I came aboard as owners of the firm. Right. Lourdes and I are now the sole owner of MC Harry and Associates, and we're very proud of what the firm has accomplished over the years, and we're looking forward to lots more from the firm.
No, that is great stuff. So Lourdes, welcome to the broadcast. So we were talking, you were just closing that multi-million-dollar deal. I hope I get my 10% from that, since, you know, we're on air. Tell everyone a little, you know, Craig introduced you a little bit, but tell everyone a little bit about yourself and you know, what you do in your role at the firm.
Well, I have been in practice for more than 30 years, so that sounds scary. I have been doing school board at school, higher education, and K through 12 schools probably for the last 25, almost 30 years. And I am very involved in the local and the state component for the American Institute of Architects, and help found the local Women in Architecture group here as we try to increase women membership and licensure, as well as deal with diversity and inclusion, which is why Craig and I have very similar interests in terms of women in architecture, African American architects, which is even worse numbers. So it's you know, kind of our passion.
Yeah. So
along with having a business that needs to make money.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
You know, our business is our first passion, but Lourdes and I have a community passion as well, where Lourdes mentioned women in architecture, because registered female architects are lower than what we'd like them to be in the profession. And Black architects are also very limited. Only 2% of registered architects in the United States identify.
And only 460 of them are women.
So
wow.
It's
okay.
a big problem. And MC Harry is really playing a very important and significant role here in South Florida to make a difference where those numbers are concerned. Yeah.
So how do we change those numbers? How do we get those numbers changed? And what is your firm doing anything in particular to change those numbers? Are you partnering with other individuals? I do know that you are up in New York at the National Organization of Minority Architects here about a month or so ago. So what is the agenda to help change those numbers?
Well, Lourdes, you want to talk about?
Well, for the women, definitely we have the local committee here, and we host a series of events to really, it's about encouraging the younger generation, encouraging them to stay in the profession, to become licensed. Every 2 years, that was the call I was on, was our conference call for our local Women Leadership Summit that will take place in June here in Miami Beach, which is really, as I said, ways to engage the younger generation, the middle professions, to say the emerging professionals, and the middle of the road as well, because 50% of the student body in schools of architecture are women, but only 20% are licensed. For a variety of reasons. Some of it is beginning with, not having mentors that look like them, which is no different than the problem that African Americans have, and nobody that looks like them. So therefore, how do you keep them engaged and family and all those things? And the new generation really is much more interested in a balanced life and work balance. And so I think that's really helping the push to improve women in the profession, and hopefully that same momentum we can help the African American community, which you have a whole series of programs.
Lourdes has been a little bit modest here. Lourdes is one of the mentors here in South Florida. She was one of the founders of the Women in Architecture program here in South Florida, and it is one of the most active women in architecture groups here. Lourdes has mentored quite a bit of us, myself included. She has encouraged me to be a bigger part of the AIA, and as a result, I think I'm a better architect as a result of that. So to talk a little bit more about African American participation in the profession, MC Harry, in association with the Miami Center of Architecture and Design, as well as AIA Miami, has a group called the Black Architects in the Making, or BAM, as we call it. I'm the founder for that. It was founded back in 2016, just 3 years ago. But since then, we have reached over 500 students in middle and high school. And our goal is to enhance their education about architecture. We have found that over 90% of students in communities of color know very little, if anything, about architecture. So how are you going to select a profession that you know nothing about? You know, the saying says you don't know what you don't know. So we believe that we have a role to play in going into these communities and telling students of color about architecture so that they may consider that as a career path when it is time for them to select a career when they're moving on to college. So the program has grown over the years. Not only do we go into these schools, but now we have a mentorship program where students who have shown a great interest in pursuing architecture, we have a mentorship program right here at MC Harry where we meet on the second Wednesdays of each month. And we have a group discussion about how do you select, an architecture school? What are the challenges that will come up? How do you handle time management? How do you go after available scholarships, in particular for African Americans? And how do you then continue along that lines to registration? Ultimately, that's our goal, to increase the amount of Black architects in the profession, because we think that will make a significant impact on the quality of architecture that we churn out here in the United States. Not that architecture is not great as it is here now, it certainly is, but we can always strive for more and more excellence.
Absolutely. So take us back a little bit, and people always love to hear this. So tell us some of the major projects that you worked on, and tell us some of the best projects, the most fun, I should say, projects that you've done over the years.
Well, every project is fun.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a series of them, of which Craig is involved in a couple of them. It's about 10 years ago, the local school board had to address class size reduction, which in the state of Florida was a requirement to only have X number of students. And Miami-Dade County is the fourth largest school district in the country, 400 and some thousand. So they definitely had a need, and we were fortunate to be selected to do a series of prototype elementary schools. And so we built 3 of them at the same time in 3 different locations, about $100 million worth of work. And because we built a 4th one, and in fact, that's how Craig joined us. Right. He was our field representative on the site, because we all love to go to the job site and construction. We've done some work, renovation work. Historic preservation is one of the things that I love. And we have a local premier museum here, Vizcaya Museum and Gardens, which is on the National Register of Landmark. And we've been working there for a while. We had to take out an old skylight and put a new one while the building was operational and tourist looking. So it was a surgery, an open heart surgery, and the patient was alive. And now I'm working on a salmon farm in Homestead, of all places. That's a huge facility, 300 and some thousand square feet, $125 million worth of pipes and equipment, and keep fishes alive. And that's totally different than anything we've ever done. So, and
I mentioned the salmon farm earlier because it will be the largest, salmon farm
recirculating system in the country, in the
entire world when it is completed. Phase one alone is 9 acres of factory facility under one roof. So that's very exciting. It's one of our largest projects and certainly one of our most exciting projects at the moment. Yeah.
We've done almost $500 million worth of work at the airport.
Right.
If you fly international in Miami Airport, your passport is stamped in one of our buildings, the Federal Immigration Services, and that working at the airport is always another open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Everything has to be still functioning while you're building it, and so that's and we still continue to do airport work, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, and one of our biggest clients too is the Florida International University, where the library, which is in the very heart of their main campus here in South Florida, that building was designed by us. It is one of the tallest buildings on campus and has the capability of expanding another 6 levels based on the design that was done over 15 years ago. So, there are lots of projects. You're asking us who our favorite.
I thought you were asking her favorite child.
No, that definitely makes sense. So how did you all know that architecture was the career for you?
That's an excellent question because, one of our passions, as we mentioned, is community engagement. And that's a question that students ask us all the time. How did we know that architecture is what we wanted to pursue? My story is relatively simple. I didn't really know anything about architecture until after high school, believe it or not. I was working at a geotechnical engineering office that I was studying soils and so forth with an engineer. And I saw a set of drawings came in and it had the most beautiful line drawing on the cover of it. And I asked the lead draftsman in the room at the time, who does this set of drawings? And he mentioned, those are the architects. Those are the guys that dream and we make it into a reality. Well, I said then and there that if this is what architects do, then I want to dream. And the next year I was enrolled in the local school of architecture in Jamaica, and the rest is history.
My case is a little bit different. My grandfather was an architect and an engineer in Cuba. My uncle's an architect. My other cousin is an architect. So it's a little bit of a family profession. And I knew I wanted to be an architect since I was 10. So.
No, that is absolutely amazing. So it's got to be pretty exciting to know that you can come up with an idea and put it down on paper or have, obviously draw it up and then see it actually come to fruition and see that over and over again.
Architecture is such an important part of all of our lives. We grow up in houses, we go to schools, we visit hospitals, libraries, we visit the mall, we go to church, synagogue, the mosque. Everything that we do in life involves architecture. And we kind of take it for granted, that it's just a building. But you got to realize that somebody gave that building thought. Somebody designed that, and that building, that space has an impact on you as an individual. And when you look at the wider urban setting of communities and cities, the quality of those spaces help to determine the type of person that you actually are. So the sole profession of architecture is extremely important. And that is why we believe that a profession like this is very influential, and it's a profession that if you really want to make an impact in society, become an architect,
No, without a doubt. And, what a lot of people don't know and what's like the hottest building in the country right now is the Black Museum in DC. And that was designed by an African. And have you been to that yet? Have either one of you been to that building yet?
I have not had the pleasure.
Yeah, it is part of the pilgrimage that will be done very shortly. But we haven't had time to go there yet, but it's definitely on the list of things to do very shortly.
So tell us, so how does it work for you in terms of, and let me take a pause. Introduce yourselves again, tell everyone who you are, and give you contact information for those that are watching that may want to reach out to you and reach out to your company. Both of you can.
So my name is Craig Makar, and I'm here with Lorda Solera. We are 50-50 partners and owners of MC Harry and Associates. We're an architecture firm here in South Florida, and we do public sector and private sector architectural facilities. We specialize in educational facilities, K through 12, higher education facilities, aviation. Lord has mentioned earlier our great involvement in Miami International Airport, and we have done lots and lots of work here in South Florida that amounts to somewhere near to $500 million in construction value over a 62-year period. So we do have a very strong presence down here in South Florida, certainly in Florida, I'd like to say. We'd love to expand and to do more business, hence being here on the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce to promote the firm, because I know you do have some clients that may want to build some commercial office buildings or malls or developments, and we'd love to get involved with that kind of activity.
So that's a great point. Let's give your email address so that people can reach out to you, or contact information, whatever that is, so they can reach out to you.
My email address is lsolera@mcharry.com, and Craig's is CAQUART@mcharry.com.
Okay. So what is the easiest way for you to get business? And I shouldn't say easy, because it's not easy to get business. Is it you bidding on contracts, or the partnerships and the relationships? Which one has been better for you in the past?
It's a combination of partnerships, relationships. Because we do public agency work, those are projects that are publicly advertised, so you have to submit your qualifications. So it's what they call an RFQ, to see that you have the skills to do it. And that's where the partnership and relationship is very important, because not only are you're being selected based on your qualifications, not on your price, because that's not really the point. You want quality designers, and not necessarily the cheapest. Cheapest is not the choice of any design. And then, the partnerships are understanding who our engineers can be, are the clients. And because we created this legacy, many of our clients are what we call legacy clients. We've been working for them for 50 years, and we continue to work for it because you've developed that relationship. And I know sometimes it's word of mouth. Somebody that you create that good relationship, and they recommend you to somebody else, and that kind of approach, and it's worked so far.
Yeah, reputation is extremely important in our industry, and you have to build that legacy, as Lourdes mentioned, and from there, then more projects will come on in. As a public sector architect, a lot of our work comes in from work that is advertised by public sector organizations.
But we're service professionals, so we need to provide a service. We need to ensure that what the client needs is what they get within the budget and within the parameters that they have.
Yeah.
It's not an open checkbook.
No, open checkbook. No. We like checks. we definitely like checks. Let's take a little pause real quickly. So I want to have a little fun here. So what are your plans for the holiday, for Thanksgiving coming up? Are you going out of town? Are you staying in town? What are you doing? Are you not celebrating? Are you just working? Most entrepreneurs, they don't stop working. So are you still working? What are your plans?
Well, I will be in town. I do need to come into work, as a matter of fact, to get some stuff done, and with some family and some friends.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be a staycation for both of us here in Miami.
Staycation.
Well, here it's cold everywhere else, so we'll take the warmth down here.
Yeah, no, it's we'll send some of the cold weather, but it's actually not that bad up here in the DC area. It's like 50, 40 degrees, 50 degrees. If you all had that, everybody would break out their boots down there.
Yes, that's correct. You've seen us on TV, haven't you?
No, I'm from Florida, so I know how it goes. I know how it goes.
How bad it is. You're like, really? You're wearing boots at 60-degree weather?
Oh, yeah.
No, I would tell you what happened. I went to Miami earlier this year. I just kind of needed a vacation, and I went to Miami earlier this year, and left the DC area, went down to Miami, and the weather was pretty good. It was around 70, 75. And all of a sudden, I woke up one morning, I looked at my phone, and it said 43 degrees. I said, well, how did I get it on my DC app here for the DC? And I looked, and it was actually Miami. I said, man, what is it doing this cold this time?
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
That type of temperature here means that people will be wearing the thickest of coat that you can think of at that time.
Scarves and mittens and
boots up to your knees. Yeah.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. So this is great. So you mentioned a little bit earlier, Craig, and again we're here with Craig, Makar, and Lourdes. How do I correctly pronounce your last name again?
Stellara.
Lourdes Stellara.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. And so again, this is MC Harry and Associates, an architecture firm in South Florida. So this is great. So most of the work, I think, Craig, we talked before, most of the work that you've done has been with like schools down in the area. You do a lot of work with the cities and with the counties. And so what areas, again, tell us those areas that you would like to expand into. And, 2020 is coming up here in a couple of days. So what areas would you like to do, and what's the next steps for MC Harry?
So we also do, along with our public sector work, we do private sector work as well. We do commercial buildings. Lourdes mentioned the salmon farm down in Homestead, which is like a massive warehouse type project with office facilities and lots of engineering involved. We do community centers as well. Renovation of historic facilities, lots of renovation of higher education facilities like office buildings, classrooms, auditoriums, all that kind of good stuff. So we'd like to expand into areas of development. So if you would like to develop, a mall or a workforce housing, or stuff like that, we would love to partner with you. We have great ideas where those are concerned. Affordable housing is one area here that in South Florida, as well as other places within the United States, that's a major concern. Yeah. We're community-oriented architects, and we believe that affordable housing is one of the crises that architects need to step up to the plate and come up with innovative services and so forth to attack that problem. And we'd like to partner with people to get that done here in South Florida. And if one of or some of your clients are listening and want to partner with us there, we'd love to have a conversation with them.
And what areas, what parts of the country are you interested in? Do you want to stay in South Florida? Do you want to go to Central Florida? Are you planning to go outside of Florida? What are you looking at?
Most of our work here in South Florida so far, but we have gone as far north as the University of Florida. We'd love to go as far as we can go if it is sustainable and it makes sense.
And we can provide the service, because it ultimately is about service.
Right.
So, we want to make sure that we can give the clients the type of service they need.
Correct.
The whole state of Florida is obviously within reach, and even the southeast region, because Miami, you hop in a plane and you're somewhere else in a couple hours. So it's not that difficult.
No, that definitely makes sense. So definitely, there's some people that I would like to begin connecting you all to. That's what we do here at the Chamber. Do what we can to start connecting. So obviously, GCs, general contractors, those are good for you as well. Or general contractors and actually developers as well.
Yes.
So this is great. So what has been the largest building again that you all have done over the years?
The largest building probably is the salmon farm at 350,000, 70,000 square feet. It's almost 9 acres under one roof.
And where was it?
The Miami International Airport that we have worked in as well over 30 years worth of continuous working at the International Airport down here in Miami. So we have done some very large projects in the firm.
Okay, no, that is absolutely great. So architecture is such an interesting area, and to your point, You don't see a lot of African Americans in there. So tell us a little bit about the conference that you went to up in New York, Craig, the National Organization of Minority Architects, and tell everyone a little bit about the conference.
So the National Organization of Minority Architects, NOMA, they meet each year at a conference where they encourage minority participation in the architectural profession. It's like a big family reunion, you know, people who haven't seen each other all year meet up there, and there is lots of seminars and professional development that occurs at NOMA. This year it was in New York. Last year it was in Chicago, and next year it will be in Oakland, California. It is here that we encourage each other. It is here that we get to network and get to meet people from all over the nation who are like-minded people who are thinking about the development of the profession and their professional development as individuals.
No, that is, you know, we're a big proponent here at the Chamber, always telling everyone to network, go to events, reach out to individuals, and see exactly how you can do business with them and how you can connect. So that's absolutely interesting. Now, so earlier today at the Chamber, we had a conference call with JP Morgan Chase, and we were discussing how they're planning to give access to capital for Black businesses. Is that an area that you need to be able to grow? Do you feel like you need more capital? That is an issue for many of our Black businesses. Or do you say, I don't necessarily need more capital, I just need more contracts? Which is it for you and your firm?
Probably more contracts.
Yeah, more contracts than, we offer professional services. So we get paid for the services that we give. Cash flow and so forth is not so much of a problem for us per se, but we do need more clients. We need more innovative type projects. We need to start looking at areas in which we'd like to expand in, like development of affordable housing.
And affordable housing certainly is something that is needed here and everywhere, and some of that may require some capital because not everybody, many developers don't, they're looking for the short-term return. And affordable housing is really has a whole different goal. It's really about helping the community, helping people be able to afford the places they live. And so those are not necessarily, developers you find in every corner because, they're looking for, some are looking for the higher return. And Miami has the big, fancy, beautiful high rises. But unfortunately, where's the workforce housing? So to me, that's where capital is needed for everybody, and certainly for a firm like us that we would like to do that. How do we partner with somebody to do that? Whether it's through design build or development or a variety of different avenues to really improve the community and provide those affordable workforce housing that's needed here and everywhere. Just cities like Miami, San Francisco, New York, DC have that problem.
Yeah, New York. Yeah.
No, I love it. So you're not just focused on making money. You all are somewhat social entrepreneurs. Yeah. You really want to be social and have a social cause behind what you're doing, which is key because when you deal with many millennials today, that's what they focus on. And so has your firm connected with any millennials? Do you have millennials within your firm? Do you have any Gen Zs within your firm?
We have quite a few millennials in the firm. And we do encourage when we interview staff, young staff, one of the things we ask is, what things are you interested in? And after they've worked with us, how are you giving back to the community? It doesn't matter to us what it is, as long as you're giving back to the community, whether it's through the professional organization and community or a civic or church and the neighborhood, because that's what makes a more complete, more well-rounded employee and staff. And so we certainly, our millennials, we like to remind them, hello, and we also sign you up for something, you're going to go do this. And they look at you like, what? And it's like, oh, this will be fun. And they're like, oh, this was great fun. So sometimes, although they are socially conscious, they don't know how to do it. So yeah, we feel it's our job to sort of really, introduce them to different options, and all of a sudden they start to come back to us with ideas that they found.
Yeah, we have about 26 employees, and I'd easily say over 50% are 30 or below.
I haven't done that chart. I have chart for how many of this color, how many of this gender, how many of these cultures. No, I haven't done age. I have not done age. I got to add that one to my chart.
Yeah.
No, without a doubt. So tell us, why should a real estate firm pick MC Harry? What makes you different? What sets you apart from everyone else? Because there are tons of architecture firms out there, and so why should they go with you and with your company?
Well, I think we hinted on that earlier in that we are very community conscious. We're very social conscious. We know the issues that are out there. Lourdes and myself are very involved in the community. We have our fingers on the pulse of what is needed in our society, not only in the architectural profession per se, but on issues such as housing, which is one of our passions that we'd like to get more involved in. MC Harry also has a longevity in the industry. 62 years is nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
Our ownership has always been conscious about passing the baton to the next generation of leaders. We develop leaders here at MC Harry, and even now with Lourdes and I as the owners of the firm, we're looking for new owners so we can pass on that knowledge and that leadership too, so that MC Harry will have another 20, 30, 50 more years.
And the other thing that sets us apart is we understand we are a service profession. So we take the time to listen to what the problem that the client is bringing to us, and we provide the best solution that is available. And we understand the budget. We understand that things have to be billed within a certain time, a certain schedule, a certain cost implication, and we don't allow the client to be surprised at the end of the day. If they come with a beautiful, grand idea, sometimes they call me the budget police, because I will burst the bubble and say, that sounds great, but you only have X, you need X plus Y and Z.
Somebody's got to be the bad guy.
That makes us different, that we're honest, and we.
You got to be realistic, be grounded.
And there's a lot you can do even if you don't have the full amount of money, but it's about problem solving. And all architects are problem solving, but it's about solving it correctly for that client, because the client is the end user. I'm not the one who's occupying the facility, that person is. So what is it that they need? So they last, nobody's building a building every 10 days, it's got to last you 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
And this type of skill is something that has been passed down to us through mentorship and teaching over the years. We have 62 years worth of knowledge that has been passed down to leadership here at MC Harry, and we believe that we become experts at solving certain problems and certain issues here in South Florida, and indeed throughout Florida.
No, this is definitely great. So again, we're here today again with MC Harry and Associates, the managing partners and the partner with the firm down in South Florida, member of the United States Black Chambers. Again, great to have you all on the show today. So I want you to give us your contact information, again, your email address, or however companies can get in contact with you. But also would like for you to take me through the process for those that are not familiar with architecture. How from the time that you bid on a project, what is the next step? What do you typically do? Do you just render the drawings? Do you have to go to the site? Do you actually just get on the phone and meet with the team? So give your contact information and give us an insight on the world of architecture.
So you can learn more about MC Harry by going to www.mcharry.com. That's our website. It is constantly being improved. Currently, it is under renovations, if you will. But mcharry.com. My name is Craig Makar, and I'm here with my partner, Lourdes Solera. My email address is CAQUART lourdesharry.com. Lourdes's email is lsolera@mcharry.com. And our telephone numbers here is 305-445-3765.
Now, to answer how does it start, all of your comments, all of the above. Once we're selected for a project, we really sit down with the client and understand what is their program, what do they need, how much money do you have, when do you need it by, where's the site, you visit the site, you really analyze, you don't start drawing right away. You have to really sit and envision, you sort of do a visioning meeting with that client to understand what their needs are, what their requirements are. And then once you've kind of digested all of these things, even put money, potential cost to what these scope items are, then you start to draft a potential solution, what we like to call a schematic or conceptual design. And then it's a constant collaboration between us and our engineers, and certainly us and the developer, the client, of what they're looking for. And I do like it this way, I like it the other way. We give them options. We certainly use all the development technology that's out there to visualize what the project is, Oh, sounds like the cleaning crew's here.
No problem. Again, we're here with MC Harry and Associates. It's a great architecture firm down in South Florida. And, again, every week we bring great businesses, and particularly Black-owned businesses that many people have never heard of around the country. We do what we can to expose them through our chamber. So this is a great company down in the South Florida area, and I'm one of our members of the chamber. And so we're definitely excited about everything that you're doing there, and just want more people to become aware of the ins and outs of the architecture world, and what you could do to get in contact with MC Harry and Associates. So you sit down with the team, you speak with them. Now, do you ever run into a scenario where your vision is different from their vision and you're kind of clashing? I'm pretty sure that never happens. LOL.
Well, we always believe it's important to collaborate, and different ideas can be an asset to any project. The important thing is to listen. Lourdes mentioned that several times, and we drill that into our project managers and architects here. Architects need to be conscientious. We need to be able to put ourselves in the place of our owners and our users and our developers, so that we can understand exactly what the needs are for the particular project. And we believe that if we fully understand that, we can collaborate and understand their needs, their vision, and then we can share ideas that we may have that we have gained over years of experience doing this kind of thing. So, different ideas around the table is not a bad thing. It is, how do you then manage those different ideas? How do you share and be able to convince or to incorporate ideas that are coming around the table, so that at the end of the day, this is not an MC Harry design. This is our design. This is our collaboration, and everybody buys in. And there is this feeling that this is our project and not just your project.
No, that is great. And I'm pretty sure that happens pretty often, though. Some people have one vision and they have another vision, and you kind of meet somewhere in the middle on what you actually want for a particular project. So no, that's great. So how do you get around that if because you watch these shows, and sometimes people who want to build things, they're not realistic. They're not realistic with the space. They're not realistic with the money. They're not realistic with the time.
Well, that's usually the clincher. The money. It's like, I'm this big, but you only can afford this, a small thing. Right. So that is part of the process. You really hide. That's one reason that I said earlier that you have no surprises. If what you want is 100 times more than what you can afford, you're not going to find out right before, you have to hire somebody to build it for you. I'm going to let you know from day one, you don't have the money to do that. You have the money to do this. So either you reduce scope, you reduce what you want, or you go find some money, which is not always the case, although we have clients who have said, okay, we'll go find the money. And so, but it's very much about, and then showing them. And one of the advantages of technology today is that you can really render, you can really do a 3D electronic model of what this building's going to look like, what the design's going to look like before it ever gets built. And that the people really like that. You can really understand and engage it, and you know what you're getting before you actually bought, the concrete and the tile and the carpet and the floor and the roof, because we've modeled it, we've rendered it so that it's very realistic.
Yeah. So architecture is an art, but it is also a science. And like a mathematics equation, when you put all of the various components together, it helps you to form that final design. So your budget will help to inform the design. The time frame in which you have to build will help to inform that design. The community or the area is also another factor. The climate that you have to deal with is a factor, so all of these issues come together to help mold and to form and to sculpt the final design, as well as the vision and the creativity that you bring to the project. So there are lots of different things that impact the project that makes it what it finally turns out to be.
Yeah, because when I think of architecture, I should say, the first thing that comes to my mind is, grand buildings, different, creative. Even when I watch, some of these shows, $1 Million Listings, and you see some of these buildings in New York, the designs are just kind of out there sometimes. So is your company more conservative, or do you try to go with some of those out of the box creative designs when you're looking at building some buildings?
I'd like to say that we are realists, right? And we do a lot of public sector type buildings where taxpayers' money is involved in this. And so we need to create innovative type architecture that is also very efficient with the taxpayers' dollars. So when we're talking about schools like the Miami-Dade County Public Schools or Broward County Public School, Palm Beach, higher education, all of those dollars are dollars that we have to know exactly where every single dollar is spent. Now, you have to also bring innovation and creativity to that, because as I said, every single space that you're within, that affects you as an individual. And therefore, whatever creativity we can bring to that space is also just as important as the amount of money it will take to design and build that space.
And the other thing is that space, because we are using public money, they're not going to, I don't like this anymore, I'm going to remodel it. They're not going to do that for another 10, 15, 20 years. So that solution has to be innovative, and it has to be, in a way, timeless. Those materials and finishes need to at least survive 15, 25, 30 years. So that's the innovative portion. How do you provide a very creative, innovative solution that doesn't feel like a fad next year?
Right.
Oh, that is such a great point. Because it's nothing worse than driving past a building. It's like, I can tell that was built in the 40s. Yeah. So you want to build something that really lasts for a lifetime. So Craig, take us back to the very beginning of MC Harry & Associates. So again, we're here with Craig Makar and Lourdes Solera, the principals of MC Harry & Associates. Welcome again, you all, to the broadcast. Excited to have you on. But take us back to the very beginning for your particular firm, Great Black-owned business that started 62 years ago. Tell us about the very beginning.
So Milton Carlisle Harry was the founder, and like many architects, he started practicing out of his garage in his house, probably
in 1957.
By doing small additions, renovations to houses, and then slowly started to get larger and larger projects. Started to get a lot of airport work, and so then started to hire more people, and we got
involved with the school board. We got involved with
airports.
airports and with higher education type projects, and then with lots of municipalities. And the firm grew and grew to where it is today. Milton is a Caucasian American. Jim and Tom, which are the second generation owners of the firm, are also Caucasians. Lourdes is Hispanic, and I am African American. Our firm has always been one that encouraged diversity and inclusion, and I think that is why we feel so much at home here, because we always believe that everybody has something to contribute. As a matter of fact, the firm as it currently exists has about 50-50 male-female staff members. I think here we have probably one of the highest percentage of African American present within a firm as diverse as this in South Florida. So we do believe that that makes us stronger. We're not diverse just for the sake of being diverse. We're diverse because we believe the various cultures and ideas that comes from these various communities does create architecture that is of that community. And we find that in South Florida in particular, where we have all different types of countries coming together, the more people you have within your firm that can relate to the various cultures, the stronger you are to make successful relationships with client project managers and so forth.
No, that is such a great point, because I South Florida is one of my favorite places in the world. And I love going down to South Florida, and you do see the architecture. And the thing that I love the most, that many people love the most about South Florida, it is really an international city. And so there's so many different cultures from around the world that have converged upon South Florida and Miami and the entire area. So with that being said, do you travel outside of the United States? Do you do a lot of research going to other countries to gain ideas to bring back to South Florida for some of your design and development? Or do you really try to focus on what's already there in the area?
So every country, every culture, every climate has different impacts on their architecture. We believe here in South Florida, it has a particular climate, culture, and community that informs the design right here in our neck of the woods. So what we design here in South Florida, we would not necessarily design this same thing in Jamaica, for instance, or in Washington, where you are right now, or in New York. Every design is a reflection of the client, the culture, the climate, the community. You know what I mean? So yes, we do learn from other cultures, from other countries, but all of that helps us to understand why things are the way that they are, where they are, so that we can make that kind of informed decisions here where we're practicing architecture or wherever it is that we're asked to design.
No, that is such a great point. So I think because the culture there is so rich and so interesting.
Yes, the influx of all of this culture has created a very rich architecture down here in South Florida. We see the influence from the Hispanic architects who have come and have added a lot of rich and vibrant colors, courtyards and all these different movements of planes and so forth. And I think that kind of influence of the culture from South America, from Central America, has made architecture here in South Florida what it is. That's the reason why we believe African Americans need more involvement in architecture, because I believe if we're more involved in architecture, you can see the impact that our culture would have on the design of buildings wherever it is that we are. If you think about music, for instance, and the influence of African Americans in music, I mean, what would American music be without people like Prince and James Brown and all of these great legendary artists? Well, I believe that Black architects will have that kind of impact on architecture. similar to how Hispanic architects have that influence on architecture down here in South Florida, which makes it so much richer and vibrant. You know what I mean? So that is why we're so passionate about getting all different types of culture involved in architecture, because we know it can be even more exciting and strive more and more to become better and better wherever it is that it is.
Lourdes, pick up on that. I think that's such a great point you just made, Craig. And again, we're here with Craig Makar and Lourdes Solera, correct? Solera. All right. Of MC Harry and Associates, members of the United States Black Chambers. So excited to have you on the broadcast today. But expound upon that. We have some great viewers here that are watching. Expound upon, what does it mean for communities that have traditionally been forgotten or gentrified, or individuals coming in, buying it up, or just just taking over the areas? What does it mean for a community to see themselves in the architecture, to see themselves in the people that are building it, to see their own creativity in the own areas in which they live in?
I think it's life-changing for them, to be honest with you. I think that, as Craig says, architecture is everywhere and design matters. And when a community feels that the design that is, as you say, a forgotten community, a new building that is being built or renovation that's being done there for them is done by architects that hopefully look like them, but even if they don't look like them, can understand and listen to what their needs are, it can totally change the life of those people, because it really starts to put their interests, their priorities, their passions up front through architecture, versus just being, given some undescript sort of insensitive box. And I love boxes, so don't misunderstand me. But a certain
nothing against boxes.
Envelope that doesn't have anything to do with the context with the community, and that's what Craig mentioned about. We look at architecture worldwide, but ultimately you have to look at the context, and by that I mean what surrounds you. What is the history of the place? The history of the place is so vital to a design, and how that community evolved and changed, and how they use the spaces, because that's going to make the building much better. And the new building that's being done in that community will be part of the community, versus a nondescript design that nobody likes, which happened very much in the 1950s and 60s, urban development in this country. Unfortunately, low-income housings were located, and architecturally we said, oh my God, they're a beautiful building, but they were horrible. There was no place for children to play, for people to sit and talk. There was nothing for that African American community to share like they had been used to. And now, of course, those buildings, most of them have been demolished, because they became those god-awful places of the 1970s, where you would hear, all these deaths and what have you, because the design did not talk to the community. The designers simply just imposed a vision, versus really looking at what the people there needed and what that vision needed to be. So it was a dialogue between both sides.
I think South Florida, in particular Miami, is a good example of how architects who are from the Hispanic culture have been able to design spaces for a culture that help to highlight and to enhance the history and the culture of a people, and I think it's a good example of a lot of Hispanic architects who have done great things for Hispanic communities, right? And I believe the same thing needs to happen in African American communities. We need people who think about the history, as Lourdes says, people who think about the culture, how things are done, because each of our different ethnic groups have different ways of doing things. And that is fine. That makes us richer as a people. but we need to respond to that, and the architecture and the planning need to reflect the people that it is serving. You know what I mean?
That is man, that is really, and I love that, because I think if the community really understands that their thoughts and their ideas were taken into consideration when a building is built, they will respect the building more as well.
They have
ownership of the building.
Absolutely, ownership. They would take care of it. They would keep it clean. All of that. And so if you get the ideas and the concepts and the input from the community, yes, that building can definitely be timeless, and then it could definitely lead to other projects in that community as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, I love that. So if someone, so give your contact information here again. Again, we were here with MC Harry and Associates, a great architecture firm down in South Florida, members of the United States Black Chambers. Give your contact information.
Here with Florida Solera. My name is Craig Makar, and we are owners of MC Harry and Associates. Our telephone number is 305-445-3765. My email address is caquart@mchharry.com, and Lourdes is LSOLERA@mchharry.com. You can reach out to us. We'd be very happy to speak with you. Again, we do lots of commercial and private and public sector type work. We'd love to hear from you if you have ideas for development in the Florida region, and we're excited to hear from you.
No, that's great, and we'll be on here for a few more minutes. But I really want to ask about if there's someone out there that is an architect, or I guess they are wanting to be an architect, and they're interested in that field. What suggestions do you have for them? And is your firm hiring? Are you looking for more talent? And what would you say about that?
Let me speak to that, because right now we're in search of a BIM manager. If you're a BIM manager and you have had experience doing building information modeling, especially using the Revit software, you can show us that you have that kind of experience. We can hire you in a heartbeat. That's a very hard person to come by, and that's one person that we're looking for at the moment. So yes, we're hiring, but specifically for that particular expertise. If you're interested in becoming an architect, it depends on what levels you are. If you're an adult and you want to get involved, it is never too late. We have a story of a friend of ours who is part of the Black Architects in the Making program. She took her child to our workshops where we're teaching schools in middle and high school, teaching students in middle and high school how to pursue architecture. And I think she's over 40, I'm not sure, but she decided to pursue architecture at that age. Right now, she is completing her third semester at Miami-Dade College. She has an absolutely bright future ahead of her. She has made the president's list, and she will be going to FIU next semester. So that's one example to show you that it is never too late to pursue your dream. If your dream is to become an architect, I tell you, time goes by very quickly. It takes no time, especially if you already have a degree, to become an architect after 2-3 years studying, architecture. The hardest part of becoming an architect, really, in my opinion, Lourdes, you can tell me if you agree, is after school, is to be disciplined enough, to be committed enough, to be dedicated enough to do the examination that is required. Yeah. Right now, there are 6 examinations that you must pass before you can be considered to go for certification as an architect. And that is one of the hurdles, because, life happens. Yep. For women, There is children, there is career, there is, the crunch of life, especially here in the United States, where everybody has to work in order to make a living. It can become very hectic. But we encourage you, do it. Treat it like you would a very important project and set schedules to take those exams, and you can do it. If Lourdes did it, if I did it, if all the other 115,000 registered architects in the United States did it, then so can you.
No, that's great. So we're going to get ready to wind down here. But that is really, really good information. And so, but one piece of information that's really a hot topic here in America, and I would love for you all to speak on it, is opportunity zones. And so obviously you have these areas that there are providing some tax benefits, some tax sheltering for individuals and for those that are in real estate or those investors that will go into those areas and develop inside of those opportunity areas. So how has that affected your business? How is that going to affect your business? Are you trying to take advantage of our opportunity zones, or is that just not an area of interest for you?
Well, there are several areas of called opportunity zones down here where you can get tax relief if you decide to build workforce housing, or a percentage of your development will be low cost, or should I say affordable housing. We would love to get involved more in that area with developers who are thinking along that line. Right. But there are also lots of parcels of land scattered all over South Florida, small, tiny parcels that can be used for affordable housing. So it doesn't have to be a major development. It can be small plots of lands where you can build single family homes, duplexes, small multifamily developments, etc. And those too can be part of the tax incentive for local county government, etc. if you decide to move in that direction. We would love to work with developers who would like to make those into profitable type developments.
But I think the key to opportunity zones is that you have to have the interest of the community at heart. This isn't just about making money for whoever is developing, but this is to improve the community. And those are the successful projects, that owner, that developer who sees this really as a way of the community to improve, to give everybody that lives there a better chance to improve their whole scenario. And those are the successful projects for me that deal with the opportunity zone. If it's only about a quick buck, that's just a quick buck.
Yeah, we don't want
to have anything to do with this.
No, I think that's definitely great. So, as we wind down here, I love what you started out with, Craig, and you talked about how this is a third generation business, but it's not a third generation family business, though, is it?
No.
Okay, not a third generation family business, but it is third generation, which is great. And so now, are you wanting to pass it down to your family for the fourth generation, or are you looking for potential owners in the future, buyers in the future? Someone to merge with, someone to acquire?
We have several staff who we've identified as having potential, not necessarily now, but certainly in the near future. Some have already, said, hey, whenever you start to think of how to, expand the next generation, we're willing to do that. My daughter wants to be an architect, so maybe that'll be the fourth generation, but she's got to earn her way. She's still only a sophomore in high school, so there's a way to go.
So you mentioned family, and while we're not blood relatives, we do consider our staff and the way in which we relate to each other a kind of family-oriented type business. And we have learned from our predecessors, from Milton, from Jim, and from Tom, that we need to train our replacement. We need to make sure that those who are under our tutelage are being mentored properly, and that they can handle not just their projects, but in the future will be able to manage the firm. Right. We are nothing if we die and the firm dies with us. we believe that if we want to leave a legacy, the best way to do that is to train people how to replace us. That's how we were brought up as owners, and that's how we intend to leave the firm as well, by bringing up people from within our ranks to take over the helm and to move the firm forward for the next 50 years.
No, I think that's such a great point, because so many businesses have never did their due diligence in actually finding a successor, and many times people, they pass away, and there is no real plan in place. And so a succession plan obviously is definitely necessary for every business to see what's going to happen, and for the business in the future, to make sure that your vision, what you're doing now, continues to live in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, this is definitely great. So thank you. That we have several people watching us, and so as we wind down here, what are some of the things that you all want people to know about you, that you want people to know about the architectural industry? Why should they get involved? How can they get involved? Do I need to know how to draw? And also, Lourdes, you mentioned about the 3D as well. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about the 3D. I think everyone is really, really interested in that 3D, how in terms of architecture.
The technology, back when I started, I'm dating myself, we drew by hand. So now everything's done on a computer. So certainly the software that's the technology and software that's out there allows us to build almost in real time this box, this envelope of what it's going to look like, that allows you to render it. In some cases, you can walk through it. You can even have, with the technology, the virtual reality, augmented reality. And that's really made a change for a lot of projects, for a lot of clients who do go find that extra money they need, because they realize it's really going to make a difference to their project if they don't have that whatever piece is. So that really makes a difference. But ultimately, what I want people to remember is that design matters. That you should not accept living or working in a space that does not take into consideration the people. How do you feel? Is there light? Where there's, and design matters all the way down to your coffee cup. You might think that's silly, but the pencil you hold, the pen you hold, the paper you write on, all of that is important, and people need to appreciate it. And I don't think people sometimes understand that design is, they like a place for a reason, but they don't know what the reason is. It's design, it's quality in there. And so people need to start to understand that is what makes their life better, their church experience, their, wherever they go for religious, their school, is because an architect and an engineer has come up with a way to make sure you're comfortable, that the AC is the right temperature, because it's not just architecture, it's the engineering that comes with it. And then if somebody's interested in doing it, certainly there's many ways of reaching that goal. As Craig mentioned, you don't have to be 18 to decide to go to architecture school. You can be 40 to do that, whether it's because you go to an undergraduate degree of 4 or 5 years, or you get a master's. There's many, many ways. And we no longer do the old-fashioned apprenticeship. You still have to have the education, but you do an apprenticeship. And that's one way of finding out whether you like architecture, is maybe find a summer job, or somebody to give you an opportunity. There's always something we can teach. We have we take usually a lot of high school kids. We have a program with the local school district here that we allow high school kids to come for about 10 hours a week, so that they can start to see what architecture is about. And of all the kids we've had, they've all gone to architecture school. Many of them started wanting to be an engineer, and they decided, no, that's what we want to do. Right. So, but it's very much about, the quality of the space, the design, and the elements that are there are what's very, very important.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Any thoughts that you want to add to that, Craig?
Yeah, I love what Laura said about the quality of life. That architecture really impacts your life in ways that we take for granted. Architecture is really about people. It's about designing for people. The spaces that you inhabit are not just pieces of art, but they are functional pieces of art and science where they impact you as an individual. So architecture is about people. We design for people. We design with people in mind. And we design so that the quality of life of people, whether it is your personal home or your community, that the quality of life that you experience as a result of architecture, it makes you better off for it.
No, really. Anytime you're in a building and it's built very well and it's a creative design, it's a warm feeling. It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And but some buildings you go into and it's cold, it's dark, it's weird, and you get a weird feeling about it. So all of that is definitely necessary. So you need to always, obviously, of course, build something that people want to be in, people want to live in, and this is why places like WeWork, even though they're in the news for some bad reasons these days. But WeWork is a genius idea. People, they want to hang out there. They built it so that people stay there. Starbucks, they built their location so people can go there and hang out.
Yep.
And being entities, and even some banks are building banks. So they're putting coffee, they're doing different things so people can go and hang out.
Hospitals are doing the same thing because some people unfortunately have to be there a long time waiting for their families and what have you. So they're designing all these spaces so that you're comfortable.
It's
not that anybody wants to stay at a hospital, but
right.
But it is really more people-centric. It's about making you feel more comfortable, making you feel more productive, making you feel more welcome. The same architect that designed a mansion can design a prison cell. So it is exactly what do you bring to that particular space that make that space what it is. Architects are extremely important in our everyday life. And if you want to make an impact, this is the profession to be in.
No, Lourdes, I love what you said. The hospitals. Oh my gosh. I want you all to redesign every hospital in the United States. Those chairs. Have you seen some of those chairs? They're so hard. Oh my goodness.
The airport chairs are also not comfortable.
Yeah, it's amazing. With all of the layovers in the world, you would expect they would be more comfortable.
Well, except that some airports are also changing that precisely for that reason, because people are demanding better spaces, better quality. If I'm going to be stuck at the hospital or stuck at an airport, can I at least not feel like I'm, been sent to purgatory,
Yeah. And this is, to take it right to where a lot of people spend a lot of time in your offices. Office environments are changing right now as a result of technology, as a result of people wanting to feel more comfortable, So instead of just a desk and a chair and a lamp, you're now having more of a lounge type environment. They're bringing the break room more as a central focus of the office, etc. So, as people demand more of their spaces, then the response has to be what people are asking for.
Yeah, I think just I think it's really important for you all to recognize. I think some of the untapped markets are the Black, the Hispanic communities, because even when you look at some of our businesses, and I was having some conversation with some of our business owners, more individuals are looking at more incubators. They're looking at more co-working spaces. And some of our companies and some of our organizations are looking at some of that as well. So being able to tap that market that no one is paying attention to and go there and help to redesign it, so that you not only just have one company working there, you have 4 or 5 companies up under one building, but it's comfortable and everybody now sharing ideas. I think that is the way of the future. More companies coming together like WeWork and actually doing business together in co-working spaces and incubators as well.
That is certainly a trend that is happening right now.
Yeah. So I think that's great. So listen, this was definitely great. A great show. And I just, the thing that I tell everyone about here at the Chamber is our number one goal is to help our businesses make money. So we always do what we can to promote our businesses, to highlight them, to make everyone aware of who they are. That, of course, the United States Black Chambers, we have great members with great products, great services, and that are doing great business with excellence around the country. So give us some of your final thoughts anything you want people to know about you, give your contact information as well, what people should know about the architecture space. So give us some of your final thoughts.
Well, I'd like to wrap up my section by saying that MC Harry is one of the firms within Florida that is thinking beyond just their office space. We are community architects. We believe in making our schools, in making our community centers, in making our courthouses or airports, etc., places where people want to be, and places where people feel productive, creative, and want to learn. And we believe in making our clients not just satisfied, but their expectation has been exceeded. Is very important to us as an office culture. It's important for us to give back to our community to make sure that those who follow us will inherit something that was better than what we came and found. So we are about community, we're about staff, we're about clients, we're about our users, and making everybody feel a part of the design and a part of what it is that is important to move us forward.
That's great. And go right ahead, Lourdes.
I think Craig is right. This is about the community, about the spaces, about the design, about how you interact with it, so that the design that we provide solves the problem. Because the architects, ultimately, we're a problem solver. And if we haven't solved the problem, we didn't do the job. So that's what we do at MC Harry. We solve the problem so that the user can feel that this is a space they can live with for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however long that building's there. Yeah. And that's what makes us unique, very much about problem solving for the community, creating a facility and a building and a design that is people-centric, that it really talks about the people and the context and the culture that it belongs to. And we are more than happy and willing and able to do anything that anybody wants us to do. We've done it all at some point in 62 years. We've seen it almost all, including a salmon farm in Homestead, Florida.
No, that's great. So before you give your contact information right here at the end, I do want to say hello and thank you to Nelson Malay. Thank you for joining us, and everybody, every Black person should be enlightened group. Thank you, Mr. Marlon Jackson. Also would like to say hello to Robert Gonzalez. Thank you for joining the broadcast today. Also, Erica Shonda Dene, thank you. Phoenix Mansa, Yamo Fitzgerald, thank you for joining the broadcast. And Erica, Tiffany Single. Erica, give me a call. Send me an email. We have to talk. We definitely have to talk. We have to follow up. So thank you all, everyone, for joining. If you have any questions, definitely place your questions down in the comments and let us know. But go ahead and give your contact information again. Craig, if you can give yours, and then Lourdes give yours as well, that would be excellent.
Yeah, so again, my name is Craig Akar, and my email address is caquart@mcharry.com.
My name is Lourdes Solera, LSOLERA@mcharry.com, and our website is www.mcharry.com.
No, without a doubt. And we did place your web address down in the post, in the status. So those that are looking for you and want to reach out to you, they'll be able to hop onto your website. This was great. Now, you all ready for turkey?
No, not really. Mentally thinking, I still have a whole bunch of things to do before then.
Yeah, we have a full, 3-4 days before that. I don't remember what day today.
You got 2 days. You got 2 days, Craig. Not 3. 2 days. That's what happens when you work too much. You work too hard. You don't know what day of the week it is.
But when you enjoy what you do, each day merges into another day.
That's true.
So and listen, we want to thank you very much for the opportunity to share MC Harry and what we're doing here in Florida, especially down here in South Florida. Thank you for taking the time.
Yep.
We want to thank those who are listening on the broadcast. And if you need any more information about how to become an architect, or if you have a project that you'd like to brainstorm with us, If anything, you can reach us at the contact information that we gave you. If you'd like a telephone number, our number is 305-445-3765. And just ask for Lourdes or Craig, and we'll be able to reach back out to you, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say, to listen to what you'd like to get done, and help you to the best of our ability.
So no, this is great, and we're pretty much finished. But Lourdes, tell me, so what does a Thanksgiving holiday look like with your family? Like, is it the traditional fixings, or do you do things differently? What do you typically do?
It is traditional. Thanksgiving. My parents are Cuban, so and I was raised in Panama. So Thanksgiving was a holiday we knew existed, but that doesn't mean we actually did anything for it. But when we moved to this country, my mother-in-law, that was her her holiday, and so we had the turkey, all the regular fixings. But we don't quite totally fix it. We don't stuff it with stuffing. We stuff the turkey with hot peppers and citruses, and we smoke it. So again, it's not quite the traditional. I've been known to make wasabi mashed potatoes, so we always give a little spin to
wasabi mashed potatoes.
Wasabi mashed potatoes.
Oh my goodness!
Half the people are for it. The other half are like, you can scratch it up and then.
That's different. That's
drunken monkey.
No, I don't do the drunken monkey.
Lourdes is very famous for the drunken monkey. We call it here at MC Harry. We enjoy that every Christmas. Actually, not do it. Yes. Not Thanksgiving. Yeah.
The drunken monkey. How about that? Now. So what's the? And I want to ask the same question to you, Craig. But before I do that, there's so much culture. We talk about great buildings in Miami and in South Florida. Again, Miami is just one of my favorite places on the planet. But what would you say is the best Cuban restaurant in South Florida?
Well, back when my mother cooked, it would be my mother's house, but she doesn't cook anymore. So I have to say that I love Versailles. I realize that some people think, oh, that's Versailles, which is a staple of Cuban restaurant here in Miami on 8th Street.
How do you spell that?
Like Versailles, like the Palace of Versailles.
Okay. And where is that located? What part of town?
8th Street and 34th Avenue, maybe 35th Avenue. And this is one of those restaurants that is not necessarily on the high end. In other words, that the meal is $30, but it's, typical middle of the road. And they have all the Cuban food you want. But there isn't a time of day that facility is not full. You get there at 10 in the morning, it's full. You get there at 2, at 3. You get there at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's full of people. And it has very good service, very good food. I mean, there's obviously other Cuban restaurants, but that's kind of the staple of the Cuban community. If something happens in Cuba, they're all at the coffee stand, at the outside the bakery at Versailles, either rooting for it or rooting against it, depending on your point of view.
I'm going to stop by there the next time I'm in Miami. 8th Street. All right. I'm going to look that up.
Very close to Coral Gables.
Because there's one Cuban spot. Is it Club 54, something like that, on Collins, right by the beach? It's right on this main strip. I don't know if you know that one. I usually go there.
There's probably a couple there. I mean, there's lots of other Cuban restaurants. I mean,
while you're at 8th Street, check out Ball and Chain.
Oh, that's good.
Ball and Chain.
That's a good Cuban place. That's a good Cuban bar and a good Cuban restaurant.
All and Chain. Okay, I'm gonna have to remember that.
Skip Versailles. Go straight to Ball and Chain.
Is that good? Okay.
And they have food and they have drinks. What more could you ask for?
Live entertainment some nights, so it's good.
If you want entertainment, you go to Ball and Chain. If you just want food, go to Versailles.
Wow. Now, what part of town is Ball and Chain in?
Also on 8th Street, but closer to downtown. So it's probably 8th and about 15th, 14th Avenue, give or take, southwest, 14th Avenue.
So viewers that are watching, the next time you all go down to Miami, Ball and Chain and Versailles. I think those some great ones to know.
Something Jamaican, though. Is there something Jamaican?
Yeah, no, he's gonna tell us. We're gonna get to him. All right, so tell us, what does a Thanksgiving dinner look like in your family, Craig?
Well, I'm from Jamaica. Down here in South Florida, it's a melting pot of different cultures and people from different cultures. Yeah, so for me, Thanksgiving is not about turkey. It's really about honey baked ham. I really enjoy that more because it's nice and moist and so forth. But there is nothing better than curry goat and some jerk pork and some jerk chicken. So all of that is usually part of the table setting where you can have, some taste of home there around family members and so forth. So we usually have family and friends come by to, everybody bring a dish. And usually there is one particular person that will bring the jerk pork because you're the best jerk pork guy, and one person brings curry goat because they're the curry goat guy, So yeah, that's how we do it, Yeah.
All right, and the best Jamaican restaurant in South Florida.
Well, I have to big up Dutch Pot, which is pretty good, but that's in Broward. When it comes on to Miami-Dade, the nearest one to me is Jamaica Kitchen, located at 87 Avenue and 72th Street.
Oh, right next to the Winn-Dixie.
Yeah, right in that corner of the plaza there. I have to big up Wendy and those guys there because they know how to do a great, jerk pork, curry chicken, curry goat, oxtail. Those guys are really very good.
It's a good place.
You get a good feeling of real authentic Jamaican food coming from that Jamaica Kitchen restaurant.
See, it makes a difference because if the design is great and the food is great, then what else can you ask for, right?
That's right.
That's all you need.
That's just good company, good people, good food, good environment, and you're taken care of.
No, this was excellent. Listen, you all, I feel like we got to know you a little bit better. Food. I heard Oprah say one day, food is the great equalizer. Yeah. So once you talk about food, doesn't matter where you're from. Most people love to eat. So this is great. So lastly, I just want to say again, thank you to those who are joining the broadcast. We had quite a bit of viewers today. Frank Long, Maxim, thank you for joining us. Malikum, Obadiah, thank you for joining us again. Also, and Tanisha Hooten, thank you for joining the broadcast. Thank you for watching MC Harry and Associates. Please reach out to them. If you're a company you're looking to do business with some minority-owned firms who has an excellent track record and does great business in the South Florida area. And again, last as we wrap up, what types of companies should be reaching out to MC Harry and Associates to do business with?
Developers, general contractors, people who are wanting to create schools from kindergarten all the way to colleges. We do all of that great. People who want to community centers, strip malls, housing.
Affordable housing, you name
it. Yeah, I mean, listen, anything that has to do with architecture, we can definitely contribute and help you with that thought process.
This is great, sir. Thank you all, and thank you, ma'am. And I hope you all really enjoy your time with your family. Don't work too much.
Yeah, well, you enjoy your Thanksgiving as well.
Listen, I'm hungry right now.
So you know what Lourdes does for Thanksgiving. You know what I do. What about you?
Oh, you're asking me. Well, listen, I recently got married. I got married this year, and
congratulations.
Thank you very much. So my wife, man, God really blessed me because she loves to cook, and he knew that was a great match because I love to eat. So we're gonna, man, and I love macaroni and cheese. You know the regulars, man. Macaroni and cheese, collard greens, some turkey. We got some, and if my mom is watching, how you doing, Mom? I love you, but I will be down there, and I need some stuffing. I need some of that dressing. There's nobody's dressing like my mom's dressing. So yeah, so she makes great just dressing with giblets in it and all this other stuff. So it's and you know the great thing about you know Thanksgiving food is it's good for another 3 or 4 days, and so you know I'll be. so,
And
so
actually, the pies is what you have for breakfast on Friday because there's no room for pies after you've eaten out
yeah.
dinner. So you just have it for breakfast on Friday.
Hey, listen, and if you really want some good African American food when you're down here in Miami, you have to check out Jackson's in Overtown. That's where I have lunch many times, and those guys have a great environment there too. So if you want some collard greens and some fried chicken and so forth, that's where you go, man, because those guys are awesome.
That is, and what is the name of that location again?
Jackson's. It's a restaurant
Jackson.
in Overtown.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I've been to Jackson's, man. Yes. Oh man, I know. They used to have 2 locations, right?
You know, I only know of one location in Overtown. And,
Okay.
yeah, but those guys are awesome.
No, this is absolutely great. This is absolutely great. I am going to be, you know, I'm always looking for a reason to get down to South Florida, so I definitely be checking those places out. And listen, I'm going to be working together with you all, connecting you to some more of our companies here with the chamber, so that you all can make some more money, that you can make some more connections, and really grow and expand. We need our companies to grow. We need them to expand. We need them doing larger business. You know, joint ventures, mergers, acquisitions. Those are the name of the game when it comes down to our business. That is how our businesses are going to grow, by doing business together and helping to connect each other and doing business on a larger scale. We have to have a larger vision for ourselves and for our businesses so that we really do great business down the road.
Absolutely.
Yes, we agree with that.
All right. Well, this was great. Thank you all very much for your time. And thank you for joining us. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your food. And Craig, I think I'm coming over to get some jerk chicken. And
And curry goat.
and curry goat.
Anytime you're down here in South Florida, man, consider MC Harry a home. Come on over. And you know, let me get to shake your hand finally.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I guess I'm gonna have to try that wasabi mashed potatoes.
Wasabi mashed potatoes.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of such a thing. Listen, this is excellent. You all have a great one, and we will be talking soon. And thank you very much. Thank you for joining the broadcast. And we wish great success for you all this year and next year to come as well.
Great.
So you all have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Not bad.
You send us a link or something?